This is John Bailey, the epic voice of Honest Trailers, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. It's a Fangirls podcast with five-ish people. The tangents and squee will continue. Squee.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode 133 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. After 10,000 years, I'm free! It's time to conquer Earth! Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week by going on the virtual table and see who joined us this week.
This is Brittany, the Pink Ranger from Belgian and Josie. I'm sorry. I did not mean for that to happen. I'm sorry. No, you're good.
Improv.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City. I guess I'll be the Blue Ranger. This is Holly from Wisconsin, the Green Ranger.
I wanted to be the Blue Ranger. Oh, well, it's okay.
So did I. So I picked green. Chris got to pick first. Brittany picked first. I would have been the Pink Ranger. I thought everyone wanted to be the Blue Ranger. That's why I did the pink.
Well, in that case, okay, I guess I'm Rachel, the White Ranger, and I hope I'm not eating pasta sauce later in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Hi, everybody. That was like probably our best intro ever. How to do it? You did.
Oh my. The nostalgia, but we'll get to that. So, oh my.
And Rachel, how was your throat from doing that intro?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have such a headache, but my throat's fine, but I have such a headache.
Nicely done.
All right. Well, before we get to that, we need to do the news. So, first things first, convention announcements, as always. So last week, Indie PopCon announced Matt Ryan, or as he's probably better known to a lot of people, Constantine, not Keanu Reeves. We're ignoring that. It's kind of like, Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider. It never happened. The Constantine, the Firefly of the Arrowverse, I guess, where it only lasted for one season. He will be coming to Indie PopCon, so for all you fans of his, there's your opportunity. And as of us recording this, PopCon has been teasing when the con job tomorrow, March 28th, goes up, they will be making a crap ton of YouTuber announcements. So I know there's a lot of people who have been chomping at the bit. They care less about, the voice of artists and Greg Gunberg and whatever. They want the YouTubers. They need the YouTubers. They must have the YouTubers. So, and when I say crap
YouTubers better be careful when they get to indie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say crap ton, I mean a crap ton. They've posted a graphic teasing. It's their wheel of YouTubers. Kind of looks like the wheel from Wheel of Fortune. And every single one of those YouTubers that's on that wheel has been confirmed and will be announced. So that is a lot of YouTubers. It is going to be a big announcement show.
So wait. So do they have the names on the wheel, or it's
no,
just this is how many?
It's silhouettes in each of the little wedges. Yes. Yep. So a lot of people have been like getting screenshots of their favorite YouTubers, like, well, that kind of looks like their hair, and that kind of looks, it kind of looks like their shirt collar.
Yep. I admit, when you said Matt Ryan, I was thinking the Atlanta Falcons quarterback, because his name's Matt Ryan as well, and I'm like, why? I mean,
no.
Hey, that's cool that a football guy is going to be at a geek convention, but why?
Well, if
But
any
totally different guy.
if any football player was going to show up to PopCon, it would be our quarterback, because
Yeah, I would
apparently
figure
Andrew Luck
Andrew Luck would go.
yeah, he's
first.
he's kind of a geek. He's got his own book club, so.
Oh, which I am part of.
Yeah.
Although I haven't been keeping up with the reading, but I follow the book club on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm like, you're such an adorable person. Yep. I love that you're getting book club together for everybody.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's Indie PopCon. And then Fan Expo Canada, which if Mitch was here at the moment, I'm sure she would be very excited and be squeeing. Because Fan Expo Canada just announced Matt Smith and Karen Gillan. So,
they're
united at last.
Yep.
Together again.
11 and Amy Pond.
yeah. Trying to think if Matt was here when Karen. Oh no! Wait, they were in Salt Lake at different times. Never mind.
Yeah. So, but Mitch has
That's
met
a cool one.
Mitch has met Matt, but she loves Matt. So
very much.
So, I'm sure she's probably seen the announcement and has squeed several times. We just haven't talked to her yet.
Yep.
So, those are the current convention guest announcements. And then moving on to other news, the folks over at Star Trek Continues and announced a few guest stars that will be making appearances in upcoming episodes, including Nicola Bryant. So keeping the Doctor Who alum trend going, Colin Baker made an appearance in an earlier episode. I was very upset that he was not wearing Crocs as part of his costume, but what are you gonna do?
Well, they only ever showed him like from the waist up because he was in some kind of transmission, so he could have been wearing Crocs under his.
That's true, but the one scene where you can see him from head to toe, he's definitely not wearing Crocs.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that.
I thought he'd be wearing Crocs.
But that's cool.
I'm guessing Nicola Bryant will not be wearing Crocs either, so.
It's more understandable for her to not be wearing them.
No, but stay tuned to the Star Trek Continues either website or their Facebook page. They will obviously make an announcement of which episode she'll be appearing in. Oh, and they also made an announcement that their next episode is going to premiere at some convention in Texas on April 1st, actually. So, and then the new episode will get posted online like the day after, which they've done that before, where they've showed an episode at a convention before it goes up online.
They did it twice for Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I think the first time they did it, I think that was the first time I introduced Jared and his twin brother, who are huge Star Trek fans, to Star Trek Continues. And I'm like, wait, I know something about Star Trek that you don't? So I said, oh, we've got to go to this thing. And they're like, okay. And then they saw it, and they're like, oh, I didn't know Vic Mignogna was in this. I'm like, yes. Because Jared loves Full Metal Alchemist. Anyway, that's a long story. I think I talked about it during one of those convention recaps. But it always just kind of tickles me that I'm like, I told you guys about this before you knew about it. Anyway.
Oh, excuse me. That should be good. It should be good.
Yes.
We've talked ad nauseum about how good the Star Trek Continues episodes are, and then they've done a really good job about getting, guest stars that make sense and do a good job. So. Yeah, and it's a real labor of love, and they're all just huge fans of it all. So if you still haven't seen Star Trek Continues, get to their website and binge watch on all the episodes because they're awesome.
It's worth it. You're not going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I think they're up to 7 now, so 7 episodes.
I believe so, and they're only going to do 13. I think was the final count. So,
sounds about right.
Yes, I think that's right. I'd have to look it up for sure, but So they are definitely on the downward slide.
Mm-hmm. In the home stretch. All right. Moving on to my wallet screaming.
They're going to be getting their own comic book along with the book series.
Yeah, not just a comic book. It's supposed to be comics and graphic novels, according to so if the librarians book at this point, but soon to be books as soon as the second one gets released was not enough for you. They're getting a series of comics and graphic novels. So
I'm looking forward to this.
It's going to be released by Dynamite Entertainment.
Yep. And it looks like the CEO of Dynamite is a huge fan of the Librarians. Says he loved it from the first movie, and he's kind of says it reminds him of Indiana Jones, and the cast is great. And so they're very excited to be doing graphic novels of the Librarians, which it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And
the series lends itself well to that format, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I like too that the CEO of the Dynamite Entertainment says that he's great for the opportunity to expand the rich world and reward longtime fans and newcomers alike. So it's just like, I really wonder what they got planned.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's like what little Easter eggs do you have in store for us?
Yeah.
Please let it be Stumpy. Please, oh please, oh please. Sorry. You got Cal back. I want Stumpy back.
I would not say no to Stumpy.
Neither would I.
Especially how Ezekiel was so sad about his poor little buddy in this last season.
Yeah.
I was expecting him to get a mention, but he did. I was like, oh, I'm sad again. But it's okay.
And more Charlene would be good too.
Yep. See, that's the thing with the graphic novels is they could bring in whatever character, because the TV show's kind of hampered by who's available, who can they get to come back, and you see this even like with Doctor Who comics, they bring back characters that maybe the actors have passed away or they're just not available to do anything like with Big Finish or on the show or whatever. And they just are like, nope, we'll take these characters and keep doing stuff with them. And it's just like, yay.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? We might get to see some of the adventures that Jake and Zeke and Cassie went on in between season 1 and 2.
That would be really, really cool.
Yes, it would.
Oh, the possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's a nice thing about the extended universe and other mediums besides just television is so many opportunities for.
And they can go as big as they want because they don't have to worry about any special effects budget.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
They can, whatever they can draw, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Well, no release date yet, but watch this spot.
Yes.
As soon as we find out, we will let you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We'll all go, shut up and take my money.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
Yep.
we're doing that now. We just don't have a specific date.
Yes.
If there's pre-order involved, I'm pretty sure most of us might do that.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Speaking of shut up and take my money.
Yeah.
Riff Tracks Live announced today, actually, that they are going to be doing the 5 Doctors. You're familiar with Riff Tracks. These are alums of MST3K, the original series. Every now and again, they'll do, it's through Fathom Events, they'll do a live riffing of some movie or another. This time they're doing the 5 Doctors. They talk about how they're big Doctor Who fans. And so you could, if you have a Fathom Events theater near you, there's a website you can go check out and see if your local theater is doing this. You can buy tickets beginning April 14th. And, all the information is at the website. And it's the little announcement video, and it's hilarious. Michael J. Nelson said, "As fans ourselves, Rift Tracks has always been dying to do a live take on Doctor Who, but we have strict guidelines about the number of doctors. 4 seems too few, and 6 is just ridiculous. Just doctors running everywhere. 5 doctors hits that magical sweet spot, and I think Rift Tracks fan going to... And I would love this, except for when they're actually going to do it, and it's and it's purely something that has to do with me. They're doing it in August 17th. It's the live one. Then I'll have a tape delay one later, and then another one on August 24th, which I would love to go, but by then I may have a tiny baby. Well, I should have a tiny baby at home. I don't know how much going out and doing things I will be able to do, so I'm a little sad. I will probably have to miss this. But maybe they'll put it out on DVD or stream. But this sounds like a lot of fun. If you've ever listened to Rift Tracks do their thing, do their riffing of movies, they drop a lot of Doctor Who references. The one that's most memorable to me right now that I can think of is in their riff of Batman and Robin, and they make fun of Dr. Freeze's or Mr. Freeze's car as the Dalek that went to Hot Topic. You could probably find the clip on YouTube somewhere. It is just, I mean, the whole thing's just a riot. But yeah, they did a riff for one of the Peter Cushing Doctor Who movies. So yeah, they're big fans, and I'm sure that this one will be fun. And I love the 5 Doctors, and I'm sad I won't get to go. But everybody should go if you have a theater close by that's showing it.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's.
I'll make it.
I'm sad I have to wait till August. I was like, did this happen now?
I know. I was thinking, yay, this is gonna be in like just in June or something. No, August. I'm fine.
Oh my. But yeah, that's amazing. I know you said that they're big fans, so obviously they probably are well aware of this, but just, Michael's comment, and he's like, the 5 Doctors is that magical sweet spot. I'm like, well, if you want to get technical, yes, there are 5 Doctors in it. You see 5 Doctors' faces.
Yes, they show up, just not in equal parts.
Yeah.
Like, or equal amounts of time.
Like, what a reality.
So it's and one of them had already passed away, so it's actually I think it was Adventures with the Wife in Space made this joke. Maybe I may be misremembering it, but somebody made a joke about how the 5 Doctors is actually 3 doctors and some bloke in a wig.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I am willing to. I looked it up real quick. The closest to me is 40 minutes. I'm willing to drive that far.
There you go.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I checked when I was looking it up, and yeah, there are three theaters close to me that are showing it, and I'm just like, oh. I may go anyway. I may just say have Grandma and Grandpa babysit me and say, here, take care of this while I go do a thing. We will see.
Yeah. Oh my, that's exciting. Either way. Okay, well, that's it for news, but I have a few things I'd like to talk about before we get to this week's main topic. And actually, speaking of movies, I didn't get a chance to announce it on our Facebook page because I didn't know for sure if I was actually going until like a few hours before, so I apologize for the last minute notice on Friday. But I had the opportunity to do a live stream over the internet with my friend Johnny Lyles, who's a local fellow podcaster, among other things. The man has he hosts several podcasts, but he also produces way more. So he's got I don't know how many shows he has actually attached to, but it's a lot. But what he has been doing since last summer, the first time doing it was actually for Batman vs. Superman last year. I said I'm sorry. But twice a month they go to the IMAX theater up in Noblesville, up the north of Indianapolis, and they do a live stream online where they talk about whatever the big movie is that's coming out that particular week, that Friday, among other things. So they try to stick with the really big blockbusters, Batman vs Superman, Star Wars, that sort of thing. So it just so happened that this was their week, their other Friday to do the live stream, and they were going to be talking Power Rangers. So Johnny messaged me and said, "Hey, we got a spot. Do you want to come?" I'm like, "Yes, please." So I drove up there. First off, that theater, really, really cool, really beautiful. And really super nice people working there. There was actually a gal there who dresses as several of the Disney princesses, but for the last couple of weeks she's been there dressed as Belle and taking photos with little kids, and but she's got her own business where she'll go to like children's birthday parties and things like that, and do the Disney princess thing. So there were a lot of little kids were very excited to see her. So I sat there with Johnny and a couple of other gentlemen that were friends of his that were really cool dudes, and unfortunately I cannot remember their names. I'll have to look and to remind myself what their names were. So and actually I was the only person there that had actually seen the new Power Rangers movie. At that point. But it is spoiler free in general. They try to keep the show spoiler free. So, no, I was asked a couple of questions, and if I'd answered honestly, they would have been spoilerish. So I had to do a lot of I can neither confirm nor deny the answer to that question. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, we talked Power Rangers, we talked podcasting, and the other two guys are both musicians, so they got to talk about their bands and what they're up to, and other movies in general. What we've seen so far this year that we really loved, what's really looking forward to, that sort of thing. So, if you missed it, if you happen to miss it, which is okay, it will be available for listening after the fact when Johnny gets around to editing and uploading it. So I will make sure to post a link to that once that goes up. So, it was a lot of fun. So I was excited to go, and I hope I get to do it again when they're doing it for a movie that I actually know something about. They have some coming up, and I'm like, no, I don't think I'd be able to say a whole lot. But once they're doing another one that I can actually give my 2 cents on, I will happily do so. So that was fun. And then Saturday was the big Make-A-Wish party at Who North America, which KJ, who is a local DJ here in Indianapolis, she's a super cool gal. She's a big nerd. She loves Doctor Who. She loves Harry Potter. She also loves sports too, which makes her a kindred spirit. In my case, a nerd who likes sports as well. She also loves cats. she's got a nice brood of cats. They're all adorable. She's constantly posting pictures of them. So, and her husband actually does. I don't know what he does during the week for his regular day job, but I know on some of the weekends he works. Essentially security, aka / bodyguard for some of the Wizard World conventions for the celebrities.
That's cool.
Yeah, so
Nice.
she gets to tag along every now and
Nice.
then, and they get pictures with with Nathan Fillion and cast of The Walking Dead and Doctor Who and all that. So that's pretty cool too. But anyway, so I kind of envy her life a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but she's a really cool gal, and her husband's really cool too. I've met him a couple of times. She after this really came about from when Carrie Fisher passed. Because KJ has done things, the last few years she's done an annual KJ's Cancer Sucks party, where she throws a party at some venue in Indianapolis, and people buy tickets, and they do like a silent auction, and then they raise money to go to a cancer charity, because she knows a lot of people have been affected by cancer. But after Carrie Fisher passed, she knows that Carrie Fisher done a lot with kids, with charity for kids, among other things. So KJ wanted, in kind of Carrie Fisher's memory, to do something for a kid who is sick. So she got in contact with the Make-A-Wish for Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky, and found the first kid, Eli. And Eli, I think I can find the link. If I can find it, I will post it, which was his donation page, but has his story. But the short story is Eli, I don't know if he was born with it or just diagnosed really young with a brain tumor. So he's had to have surgery and all sorts of treatment and everything. And he's I don't know what his prognosis is now, but he seems to be doing okay for the most part. I guess one of the unfortunate side effects of either the tumor itself or just the treatments is, I guess it's affected his memory. Because after he left and I was still there at Who North America, I was talking with Janie and Keith and KJ, and I told them, I've got video and pictures of everything that you can share with them, and they were saying, yeah, unfortunately, with Eli's condition, he probably won't remember most of what happened on Saturday. Yeah. But that didn't stop him from having a very good time. And then Cassidy's 17. I don't know exactly how old Eli is. But Cassidy's 17, and she has got a rare form of blood cancer. And she's been in and out of treatment for a while as well. She ended up having a state-of-the-art stem cell treatment in the last couple of years, which actually worked at one point and put her into remission, and it was great, but unfortunately it didn't stick. And now I guess the cancer has come back, and actually she just got out of the hospital 2 days before the party. So she had been ill. But KJ found Eli and posted, set up the site so that people could donate. And it took off really quickly, especially after Mark Hamill got wind of it and shared it on his social media.
Nice.
And Eli's wish got granted very, very quickly after that. Which Eli is he's a Doctor Who fan, but he's also a really big Star Wars fan. His wish was to go to Star Wars Celebration.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So his wish has been granted, so he's going to Star Wars Celebration, which is next month in Florida. So because Eli's wish got granted so quickly, KJ's like, surely there's another kid that we can help. So they got her in touch with Cassidy, and she learned Cassidy's story. She's like, oh, okay, Cassidy, big Doctor Who fan, big Harry Potter fan. Cassidy's wish is to go to London and see, the spots where they filmed Harry Potter and Doctor Who and Fantastic Beasts and where to find them and all that fun stuff. I don't know if she's going to get to go to Cardiff or not, but she's definitely going to London. But her wish took a little longer to get granted, but it did end up getting granted. We reached the goal last week, so right before the party, with some help of some very generous people. And actually we hit the goal and then went beyond that by Saturday. So that was really awesome. And then Cassidy, if all goes well, her Make-A-Wish has got her all set to go, and she will go into London in July, about the same time they are supposed to be filming Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 2.
Oh, sweet.
Nice.
There
So
you go.
she's kind of crossing her fingers that maybe she can stumble across them filming.
Yes.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would
Have
be
her bump
amazing.
into
That would
Eddie
be
Redmayne.
very-
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So, because both of their wishes had been granted, the party on Saturday, instead of it turned in more to just a celebration of their wishes being granted. So we had obviously Who North America. They opened up their doors to their families and KJ, and they set up the room they have in the back that they use for parties and special events, and where we've done cosplay stuff. And they set up the big screen TV, and we watched Day of the Doctor, which was fun. Cassidy had actually never seen it, so that was she really liked it. So that was fun. We had pizza
Nice.
and drinks, and there were lots of cosplayers, several cosplayers that I had seen before. Elena from And Sewing the Half the Battle, who we've had on. She came in her Captain Jack Harkness cosplay. Some of the Circle City Ghostbusters showed up as well, in full Ghostbuster gear, to take photos and scan, things, looking for ghosts and ghoulies. There was a gentleman who's a friend of the shops who has a custom built Dalek that he drove all the way from Ohio. And brought it over, and it's one that talks, and he can climb inside it and drive it around and say things, and he can extend the plunger and all sorts of things. So he was in that thing most of the day, and he's just utterly hilarious at some of the things that he could come up with to taunt the doctors, the people dressed as the Doctor and Eli and Cassidy and all that. And then there was also folks from the local Rebel Legion and 501st as well. So it was very surreal walking around Who North America. You got the TARDIS they've got in the shop and all this Doctor Who merch, and this Dalek running around insulting people, talking about how it's going to exterminate them. And then all of a sudden there would be a Ghostbuster and a Stormtrooper, all just taking pictures together. It's like when fandoms collide. We just needed some Harry Potter people, and I think it would have been perfect. But even as it was
nothing imploded.
Yeah. But it was just awesome. Eli and Cassidy were. They got several gifts bestowed upon them. They both got suspended at Who North America that were given to them on behalf of a friend of the shop. So they got to go on little shopping sprees. They got Paul McCall, who is a BBC-approved artist who did a variant cover of a Doctor Who comic specifically for Gen Con last year. He also does caricatures. So he did a custom caricature for both Cassidy and Eli with them, with their fandoms. That Eli was dressed as the 11th Doctor, but he was holding Captain America's shield.
Cool.
And it's got Matt Smith's Doctor and Black Widow and all sorts of comic characters, and then he drew Cassidy as a witch, at Hogwarts riding a broomstick, and there's Hagrid and Hogwarts Castle, so it was very cool. And then another friend of the shops, who is actually friends with Sophie Aldred, which is how they ended up getting Sophie at PopCon a couple of years ago. He asked Sophie to create a video message for Eli. He didn't, at the time, it was only Eli, so he didn't know that there was going to be a second kid. And by the time he found out, Sophie was off traveling to somewhere, but I think maybe I think he may try to get Sophie to do something for Cassidy when she gets free. she made a little video telling, Eli to keep up the good fight and all that, which was really cool. And then they also got gifted with just some other Doctor Who, toys and trinkets and stuff. And then they also got a really nice book that holds like the, I don't know, size at 8x10, like the nice photos that you see like celebrities sign at conventions. They got a book with a whole bunch of those, and there's a lot of the classic folks from Doctor Who. Obviously, the ones that have already passed, all they got were just the photo of like William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton. But some of the still living actors, they sent them autographs. So they've got autographs from Sophie and from Carol Ann Ford, and I'm not sure exactly who else was in there. And then I guess apparently there's still some coming that hadn't arrived yet by the time the party came around. And I think Janie did tell me who one of them is, but just in case it doesn't, happen to arrive anytime soon, I'm not going to say who it is. But it's definitely someone from New Who that's supposed to be coming. Yeah. Hopefully that will arrive sooner rather than later. There's just a matter of timing and getting stuff put in the mail and coming from the UK and all that. But even after the fact, which is pretty cool. It's like Christmas continuing. But it was just a lot of people, talking, their fandoms and Doctor Who, and just a lot of socializing and taking a lot of pictures. And I took a lot of video, which I edited down, is now up on our YouTube channel. I've shared it already on our Facebook page, and I know KJ's gotten it, and she said she's going to share it with both Eli and Cassidy and their families, so that they have those to watch to help remember the day. Cool. And a lot of photos. I posted photos on our Facebook page. I know the Circle City Ghostbusters, they posted a lot. KJ tried to post as much as she could, and so it was really cool. I cried several times throughout the day. Thankfully, they were all happy tears.
Oh yes,
yeah. But it was really cool to see a bunch of geeky people in the Indianapolis and surrounding communities get together to make these kids have one day to hopefully forget a little that they're sick. And just get to be a kid, enjoy the things that they enjoy, Doctor Who and Star Wars and all that. Hopefully between, the presents and the photos and the video and all that they can look back on this day and go, that was a really good day, and they hopefully got to feel like a kid and not a sick kid.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I can't say thank you enough to everyone who donated. I didn't get a chance to donate to Eli's because it got granted so quickly. But as soon as KJ announced the second one and it didn't take off as quickly, I was like, okay, I'm going to share this and try to get the word out there because, I'm not a parent, but it still. It hurts my heart to see a little kid, or even an older kid, but just, a child, who's shouldn't have to worry about adult responsible type things like that, have to unfortunately get that lot in life. So, and the Make-A-Wish Foundation especially has a special place in my heart just because of what I've seen, what Lou has done with the WW Dream Team, just to, he specifically, make sure that their funds go to kids whose wishes to go to Disney World or Disneyland or Disney Cruise, something Disney related. But I have other fandoms too, so I was certainly happy to help help make sure that these kids wishes got granted. So it was really, really cool. And like I said, I thank you to everyone who donated and shared on social media and all that to get the word out there. So, and if KJ decides to do it again, I've already told her, I said, you want to do something like this or something similar, let me know. Well, we'll be more than happy to promote the heck out of it.
Oh yeah,
and
totally.
get the word out there. So but that was really cool. And obviously, you know, having met Eli and Cassidy, they're really cool, really sweet kids. And, you know, I wish them, you know, best of luck and hope they have a lot of fun on their trips. And, you know, just keeping up as Sophie Aldred said, keeping up the good fight. So.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the feels. The feels. Well, with that, now that we're all feeling a little sappy and a little happy and a little melancholy all at the same time, I think we'll move on to this week's show main topic here, which we're gonna take the way back machine here, as Lou would say, and dial it all the way back to 1993, where I
feel like we should be singing a song.
Yeah.
Party, it's 19. No, that doesn't quite work.
Nope, not quite. So there was this, I don't remember what channel it aired on, at least here for me when I was a kid. But anyway, on your TV, more than likely, on whatever channel it happened to be, there was
Maybe
this...
a Fox affiliate of some sort.
Probably. There was this little show that started in 1993 called The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And full disclaimer here, since we started this podcast almost 3 years ago, I have been waiting for us to do this particular topic and not had a good reason to put it in the schedule. But oh, hey, new movie to reboot the franchise. How convenient. So,
yes.
I've only been waiting almost 3 years to talk about this.
Although I don't know if I'd call it a reboot, because, you know, the TV series has been going on in one incarnation or another for, it's still going on since 93.
That is
so I guess they're like trying to do something with the movie parts of it. But, I mean, either way, it all still works.
Yes. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yep. So.
And it's...
But, yeah, Power, you know, I look back on my childhood, and being a child who was born in the 80s, but most of my memories come from the 90s, of anything fandom related. I've always been a Disney fan. I think I was a Disney fan before I was even born, just because my mother has always been a Disney fan. She likes to say Mickey Mouse is the one man that's never done her wrong. So Disney was kind of a given, considering my upbringing. But when you talk fandoms where it's something that I discovered on my own and decided I love this and want to be a part of it and wish I could crawl into the TV and somehow, you know, live in that world, Power Rangers was it. I loved this show. I still do. It's been over 20 years, and I still love this show. And actually, Johnny asked me Friday night when we were doing the live stream. He's like, you know, you've got Power Rangers. Doctor Who's one of your fandoms, I know. It's like, which do you love more? And I'm like, Johnny, that's not a fair question. I haven't even been a Doctor Who fan for 5 years yet. Power Rangers is going on 20 plus. That's not a fair comparison.
It really isn't.
It's not. No. Yeah, the show, it's not held up at all, but I don't care. It's cheesy as heck. I don't care.
It's like, okay, so last week, Honest Trailers did their spiel about the 95 Power Rangers movie, and they had that joke in there about, you know, when you were a kid, this was like your favorite show, and you were a big fan, you watch every episode, now you go back and think, what was I thinking? And I actually commented on the page, and I was like, hey, I know this show doesn't hold up. I know it's gloriously cornball and cheese-tastic. I do not care.
Exactly.
It's the nostalgia goggles are well and truly glued to my head. And if you have a problem with that, although it was funny because I did watch a video of Doug Walker, who's the nostalgia critic, but he wasn't in this nostalgia critic character, and he was talking about the new Power Rangers movie, and he does not like Power Rangers at all. He's done reviews about it and kind of made fun of, which I admit I laughed at his videos of it. And he even admitted in the thing, he's like, yeah, he was like, because, he said he tried Power Rangers, but, he was the wrong age for it. And he's like, we had stupid crap when we were growing up. So, everybody's got their stupid goofball thing. Mm-hmm. And he's like, if it's your thing, that's great. And I was like, exactly, you get it. So it was like, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. No, Power Rangers, not that I knew it, being older now and being into fandom, we have all these terms that we use when relating to fandoms, feels and, your ships and all that. And, in 1993, I had no idea what those things were, but Power Rangers gave me like my first ship, my first OTP. Tommy and Kimberly were it for me. They were my OTP first gen ship. And when they broke up, I was so mad.
I think I quit watching when Kimberly left and they broke up. I was like, nope, this doesn't work anymore. Yeah. Get me out of here.
Yep, I pretty much gave up on the show after Kimberly left and broke up with Tommy. I'm like, yep, no, I'm done. But I also happened to be going into high school about the same time, so.
Well, true.
Your priorities kind of change when you start getting to a certain age.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, yes.
Yeah. So, and if I know what cosplay was, back in the mid 90s, I totally would have been on that. I'm into cosplay now. It's still, even now, I was telling Chauncey this. I said, you know what? I had a lot of dreams as a kid. I wanted to be a Disney princess. I wanted to be a veterinarian. I wanted to be Indiana Jones. I wanted to be a magician. I had, you're a kid and every week you're like, I'm going to be a fireman or I'm going to be an astronaut or whatever. And you grow out of those for the most part. And you look back on your childhood when you were older and you go, oh, it was so cute having all those little childhood dreams. And now I'm an adult and I have a real job. But seriously, even now, 20 plus years later, the dream of being a Power Ranger still lives. I want to be a Power Ranger so bad. I couldn't do it. The knees and the hips and everything would not let me do it. But dag nabbit, I want to dress like one. Even BuzzFeed recently, I don't know if I've shared it on our Facebook page. Other people have shared it. BuzzFeed got some of their people together and got them in touch with some cosplayers, and they dressed up as their favorite Power Ranger as an adult. And every single one of them was like, childhood dream fulfilled. I want that to be me. I want to be a Power Ranger in the worst way. I need someone to give me a lot of money so I can buy a really good Power Ranger outfit. Because dagnabbit, they're expensive, the nice looking ones. So
oh yeah.
I'm going to have to start pinching my pennies or something because I need to make that dream come true. If anyone is listening and wants to do that for me, please email me at 5ish Fangirls.
I didn't cosplay or even dress up as a Power Ranger as such, but I did go through my closet and find everything that had even this of pink.
Yes.
And I would wear it to school every day because, you notice in the show, they always wear in their civilian outfits, they always wear whatever color Power Ranger they are. Mm-hmm. And it's never really remarked on, like, you have to do this as a Power Ranger. It's just something that happens. So, I guess, which Power Ranger they are, and everything. So it's just kind of, it's like, okay, I can do that. And then, by the end of the week when, all my pink clothes were dirty, I was like, well, this shirt, there's a little pink flower in the middle, so I guess I can wear that. I would do that. I didn't tell anybody that's what I was doing, because, there were a lot of in my school that were like, oh, we can watch Power Rangers, how stupid is that? And I was just like, screw you. But no, it was, I don't really even, looking back on it, yes, it was very much a product of its time. Like, it was, I can't think of another show that was as 90s as Power Rangers. I'm sure there were plenty that you look back and like, oh my gosh. But, like the phrases and all the the clothes and goofy stuff they said, and it's just, yeah, I mean, you kind of feel like, oh, why did I like this show? But it's just sort of, I don't know, it's just nostalgia. It's it's like, why did this show resonate with us? Was it the cool robots, the weapons, the toys that we got? I mean, I the Power Ranger Nintendo game. I have an emulator on my laptop. Lets me play Super Nintendo games, and I'll boot that up every once in a while and play it just because I just enjoy it. So, I mean, and I don't know. It was, guess if you're a kid, you really don't care about how quote unquote quality something is.
Yeah.
But it's, as long as it's fun and interesting to you, then you watch it and you love it.
Yep.
That's the only explanation I have. When people are like, "Oh, why do you still love this show? And why do you this?" and whatever. But it's just like, I don't know. I can't explain it really.
Yeah. Well, and if you watch them now, and most of it's on Netflix. So, I mean, granted, there's been 23 seasons and counting of Power Rangers of various forms. Obviously, that started out Mighty Morphin, and there's been Zeo and Dino Rangers and Time Force and take your pick, and this the outfits have changed and the team has changed. It was so funny because it's like I was okay when Jason and Trini and Zach left, and they replaced him with Rocky, Adam, and Aisha. But for some reason, like we said, when Kimberly left and replaced her, I could not handle the change. And again, it may have been a product of, the age I was and getting a little older and that thing. But it's so funny because I dropped this show that I loved because it changed characters one too many times. Look at Doctor Who.
Yeah, well, I think with Power Rangers, it wasn't quite as built in as with Doctor Who, and maybe that first change, because I remember when they did the changeover with those first three, that it was like they were building up to it. Every episode was like they were mentioning, like, oh, it's this peace summit that everyone at the school wanted to be a part of, and they were applying for it. And then there was a part in one episode I remember where Billy and Kimberly were talking about it, and they're like, wouldn't it be cool if one of us got sent to be on the peace thingy? And they're like, well, what happens to the Power Ranger team? And they kind of look at each other and like, oh wait, we hadn't thought about that. So it was like kind of built into the story, and it was like, oh my gosh. And then they introduced the new characters kind of slowly. So I think maybe that was like kind of holding your hand, like here, it's gonna be fine, there's these new characters, but you already love them and they already know about the Power Ranger thing, and it's fine, they're great, and so you kind of more accept it. And then I think we were all invested in the Tommy and Kimberly relationship.
Well, because they did the same thing with Kimberly leading up to her departure, where they were all like, Kimberly was really, really working hard on her gymnastics, and she was, getting really excited about the Pan Global Games, and hopefully winning and all that. And then that was her out. She had to decide whether she wanted to continue to be a Power Ranger, if she wanted to, try to become a world class, like Olympic level gymnast, and that's the out they gave her in the show, but. It broke up the OTP. So.
Yeah, I honestly think the OTP kind of that's where you break.
Yeah.
And I don't know how other fans at the time felt. I mean, obviously the show has continued to keep its fans and everything. And although it's funny in the second movie brought Kimberly and Jason back. Which that movie wasn't quite as good as the first.
And that's saying a lot.
This is true. I mean, I think it was the little kid that they had be the Blue Ranger, and it was just like, no, you're way too annoying.
I will admit, I wasn't when I first was watching Power Rangers, I wasn't too affected by the whole Kimberly and Tommy, because I was younger and I was like, I don't think I truly understand what was going on. I mean, that was... Yeah. I don't think I was even... Well, I was even like 6, I think, during that time.
Maybe you're the one we need to talk to. It's like, how did you stick with it?
I honestly don't remember. I just remember... It is hard to remember now, I'm sorry. I just remember loving it and just kept watching it. And it felt weird, when I was switching out everybody, but I think I was just young enough to still be, mystified by it all, and wasn't really caring about... It's hard to explain, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, maybe it's just kind of grow out of some things for a while, especially when you're a teenager. Mm-hmm. It's like you think, oh, that's something I did when I was a little kid, and I'm not a little kid anymore, so it's treating me like one, even though, you're still an immature little punk. Yeah.
We didn't think that when we were teenagers.
No, you don't. No, you don't think that way when you're a teenager, because you think you know everything, and then you become an adult, and it's like, that's, you're like, oh, I like what I liked when I was a kid. What are you talking about? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Everyone
and then you go back to it, and that's where we get all these rebooted movies.
Yeah, we all mature eventually. Even Bulk and Skull matured after a while. So.
Yep. Although I do, because they always had those little PSAs after the episodes, and I think my favorite one was the one where they talked to the actors who played Bulk and Skull, and they had the kid that were saying, oh, you're just like Bulk and Skull, you're bullies, you need to punch people in the face, and they're like, oh, we're just actors, we're playing a role, and don't confuse this, and they're actually really nice guys. And one of the actors, had his niece there, and they were getting her ice cream or something. I don't know. It was really cute, and I remember. I just always remember that one. Just how kind of sweet it was, mostly because it was Bulk and Skull, who are these total ninnies. Yeah. In the show. And then they're just acting like totally normal people, and it's like that was kind of a really cool. A lot of them were kind of corny, but that one was a good one. Yeah.
And that's the one of the nice things about the legacy of, for the most part, most of the cast, at least the original cast, has really embraced being a Power Ranger. So some of them walked away for a while. I know David Yost had to walk away for a while because he suffered a lot of actual bullying behind the scenes from people, not necessarily from the cast, but from some of, I guess, the crew and some of the higher ups. If you don't know much about the cast members themselves in real life, David Yost is gay and has been openly gay for a while, but apparently he was teased mercilessly and bullied about it when he was on the show. And that's he had to walk away from it for a while, just because it messed with him psychologically. But, things have gotten better now, and he goes to conventions along with a lot of the crew. I know Amy Jo Johnson walked away from it for a while, but she doesn't do conventions like some of the others, but she does do conventions every now and then. She's actually gone on to have a music career. So, I went to Lexington last year, and they were so many Power Rangers, and especially some of the later ones after I'd stopped watching because I didn't know who they were. Like, hey, you're a Power Ranger, but that was after I stopped watching. But good for you.
Yep.
But I've met, I got a chance to go up and say hi to Karen Ashley, who played Aisha, and she was super nice. And I've talked to Steve Cardenas several times, and he's a super nice guy, and David Yost, and he's super nice. I didn't get a chance to talk to Johnny Young Bosch because his line was so long, because he's actually got a lot of fans outside of the Power Rangers because of all the voiceover work he's done. And of course, Jason David Frank is the king at the top of the hill as far as Power Rangers. You want to talk about someone who has not walked away as a Power Ranger at all? He's going to be doing, conventions till he is old. He's going to be Stan Lee of Power Rangers, is what Jason David Frank
I think you're right.
is. So the man does convention. I mean, he was a 4-time Power Ranger. He wore 4 different colors in his time on the show. So, he's come back several times on the TV show. So he has fully embraced who he was. And even Bulk and Skull, Paul and Jason, they do conventions as well. They totally live up the whole Bulk and Skull thing. So for the most part, the alumni have been really good. There's been a few. I know one just got arrested for killing his roommate, but that
was one of the later ones.
He was one of the later ones, so we're not going to worry about that. So, and unfortunately, I never know how to pronounce her name, but the gal who played Trini, the first Yellow Ranger,
she Trang, I think.
Yeah, she unfortunately died. Maybe. Yeah, she unfortunately died not long after she left the show in a car accident, unfortunately. So
yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, most of them have been around. Like at the very first Salt Lake Comic Con, we had Walter Jones and David Yost here, and I got to meet David Yost, and I mean that was the first time I really gone to a convention. I'd gone to Gallifrey one. That was a little smaller one, but I was pretty much by myself. I was like, I want to get this guy's autograph, and I just was like, I don't know how to do this and everything. So I just, went up to him and talked to him, and he was really sweet and got his autograph. And I went to their panel later, and I was like, that was kind of like my first multi-fandom convention experience. And, and it was in my home, my backyard basically. So that was like really cool. And like, you were talking about Amy Jo Johnson. First off, I pretend I was related to her because we had the same last name. A lot of Johnsons in the world, But no, like it was really cool because last week or the week before, like part of the promotion for the new movie, they had her as a surprise interviewer of the new cast at a press junket or something. Like they just said, oh, it's this somebody from some website or another doing an interview, and like she walked in, and all the new Power Rangers from the movie like recognized her and were so excited to meet her. I mean, maybe it was a little staged, I don't know. I just saw it on a YouTube video, but they were interviewing her. She was interviewing them about being Power Rangers. It was very sweet and endearing and everything. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, you haven't aged in 20 years. Tell me you're
I know.
So I'm like, you've got to be in your 40s, almost 50, maybe. I don't know. Because, they may have played teenagers. They weren't actually teenagers.
Oh, no. They're all, it's like Buffy. They're all in their 20s playing high schoolers.
Yeah.
So, they're all, especially the OG crew, they're all in their late 30s, early 40s at least. So, yeah. Which makes me feel really old.
Maybe not 50 then. Because I'm like, wait a minute, brain math, I don't know. But yeah, they're But it was just kind of funny. Everybody fangirling, fanboying over each other. It made me laugh. And yes, Jason David Frank, he's been to Salt Lake a couple of times, and I was in line not to see him, but to see someone who was next to his table, and he was like just playing up the crowd in front of his line, and he's one of those guys who knows how to work the crowd, and it's just like his whole thing, because there were whatever line I was in, like the security was like, no taking pictures and stuff, his line, he was like, take all the pictures you want. And all that kind of thing. So I yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I still need to meet him. He needs to come back here so I can, meet him, get his autograph.
Oh, he does enough conventions. You'll get your chance eventually.
I know. I'm sure he'll come back around at some point.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He is everywhere all of the time. It was funny because we were doing taking photos after we were done doing the live stream on Friday, and we did it in front of the the sign with the big cutouts. And we were like, how do we pose or whatever? And I'm like, do your best, Jason David Frank. And they all knew exactly what I was talking about, the pose he does in pretty much every photo, where he's got one arm in front of him. He's got in a fist. Like, do your best, JDF. It's like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So it's all good.
Oh, yes.
Everybody knows Jason.
And he says that, determined look on his face.
Yeah. Yeah. So, oh my. So, yeah. So, Power Rangers, they've been around for a long time, but new movie just came out this past weekend. So, and like we said, maybe reboot isn't the most appropriate word, but that's what Andre's been calling it. So.
It works. I mean, it's kind of a unique situation, so it's not.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure what to do with it.
Yeah. So it's
or an updated version.
Well, yeah,
updated
it's definitely that. I obviously, I will try to remain as spoiler free as possible here, because I know Brittany wants to see it and hasn't seen it yet.
We're going right after we're done recording.
Yeah, Chrissy's
as soon as Jared gets home from work. But we're going tonight.
Yeah, Chrissy's like, I'm gonna go see it. So, I will remain spoiler free for this as we discuss this. But it's definitely it definitely still fits within the whole Power Ranger umbrella. You've got the things you would expect. They've got all the kids, they have the same names, first and last name, if they give them a first and last name. Some of them, they never tell them the last name for some of them, but the few that they give them their full name is the exact same name as the OG crew. Their suits, their colors when they're the Power Rangers match the OG crew. So Jason is red, Trini is yellow, Kimberly is pink, Zach is black, Billy is blue. The Zords are the same animals. So I say animals because they're not all dinosaurs. A woolly mammoth is not a dinosaur. It is a mammal. So I will say animals here. They are the same animals. Zordon is still named Zordon. Alpha 5, he's still, a walking, talking robot. Zordon is a floating head. Rita is evil, and Goldar is gold. So they've got the power coins. They've got a command center. So the skeleton is there. That's the same. That's all going to be recognizable. It's the everything else that they have they're bringing it to, the 2017 era. It's darker, not like super dark, like depressing. But I mean, as far as the action, it's, the action is in this, I would say, similar vein to probably like the Avengers, maybe Age of Ultron. As far as, destruction of property, poor Angel Grove. I don't know how they're going to bounce back from this one. I always like to say the Angel Grove in the TV show must be sitting, it must be like the most wealthiest city in the entire planet to be able to rebuild after every fight the Power Rangers have with the Megazord against the giant monsters. So... the movie version of Angel Grove, there's a lot of property destruction. Loki would be proud of the amount of property destruction. It's the Battle of New York in poor little Angel Grove.
Oh gosh.
So,
Oh boy.
I will say the Rangers themselves, as go with me here. When I say it's more realistic for being Power Rangers, obviously it's Power Rangers. It's superhero teenagers with giant mechanical robots that look like dinosaurs. So it's as realistic as you're going to get. But the kids themselves are more realistic to what you would expect for a actual teenager. You know, no offense to the OG crew, but you kind of had to suspend a little bit of disbelief even as a kid that you had 5, eventually 6 high schoolers that were always really good at school, always got good grades, were always captain of the football team, always knew all the karate moves, always was really good at gymnastics, always had
time to do after school charity drives and stuff.
You know, always had really, you know, they were all impeccably dressed and they all didn't seem to need jobs at all, you know.
Yeah.
So the movie crew, they're screw ups. We've seen that in the trailers. You know, they go to detention. They get bullied. They don't have the nicest home life. So it does make it a bit more realistic as far as them being teenagers, which is good. I appreciated that. They do some things which, if you paid attention to any of the news articles or anything, they've done some things to give them some character traits that are more in line with kids these days. I use air quotes here. Kids these days. None of that I had a problem with. I think it's actually a really good thing that they've done, because it makes them superheroes that are regular people. You know, as much as I love like Marvel, you gotta suspend a little disbelief with them too. They're not normal people. Even the ones that don't have superpowers, like Romanoff, you know, she's not a normal person. She's not had a normal life. She's got some abilities. So these kids, they're normal. I do air quotes because that's, you know, normal is relative to the person, but to me, they come off as more normal. Background that they give for the Power Rangers as a whole, and the background that they give to Zordon, does still fit within the mythos of what they created in the TV show. It's all mythos that they came and told stories about after I stopped watching, but from what I've read, it still fits within the mythos. Also, what they've done with Rita and her backstory, what little we get, because we don't want to get too much into it. We got to save some for the sequel. Still fits ish into the mythos. Some of the, without getting too spoilery, if you watched any of Black Nerd Comedy's videos about the movie leading up to it, not the stuff that like he released right before where he got to go to Vancouver and meet the cast and all that, but some of the videos he made when they released things like the first trailer and some of the images and all that, he made some predictions, and he was right on some of them and some he was not. And you'll have to watch the movie to find out which ones he was right about, which ones he wasn't. Rita, scary as all get out. Kudos to Elizabeth Banks for taking Rita and making her own. This is not Rita Repulsa from the 90s at all. And this is Elizabeth Banks in a way I've never seen. I've only seen Elizabeth Banks in the Pitch Perfect movies and the Hunger Games.
Can I ask?
Yes.
Does she still get a headache?
No, unfortunately, but she does.
Darn. Okay.
They do.
That's okay.
They do keep some of the. They do keep some of the trademark phrases. Rita still gets some of her trademark phrases. Alpha still gets some of his trademark phrases. Zordon. This is not the Zordon from the TV show either. The Zordon from the TV show was like your kind, grandfatherly, I'm here to support you and whatever you want to do, I will give you praise when you do something good. You know, good job on, you know, that spelling test, you know, little kid. This Zordon is more like your disappointed parent when you screw up. There's way more tough love. Now, because these kids are not perfect and automatically able to do everything like the OG TV crew did, there's a point. He's not being mean for the sake of being mean. It's because these kids don't have the skills going into it, and they need to be pushed to become the team that they need to become. It's kind of like Nick Fury, in a way, except Nick Fury is a floating head in a wall, and no eye patch. So yeah, Zordon. Yeah, Zordon's not the same. Rita, again, scary, very, very scary. This Rita is not just running around yelling orders to her minions and telling them they're idiots and exclaiming she has such a headache. This Rita is ready to get down to business and is seeking revenge and will do anything to get it, and it's not funny. She is mean and evil. So, it didn't hurt the character any, it didn't bother me any at all. I think it fits the tone of the rest of the movie, but whew, I'm glad. It's good to know that Elizabeth Banks in real life is a super nice person. I don't know what she tapped into to portray Rita, but I hope she keeps that under wraps in real life. This is scary. How evil.
Now you got me a little freaked out.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like, scary, like scary movie, like slasher film type scary, but it's definitely not screaming, I've got a headache, Rita. This Rita is way more hands-on about things. Alpha 5, I know when we first got that image of him, a lot of people are like, what? It's a bit weird to watch. The shape is a bit weird to watch, but in movement, he looks better. Watching him walk around and do things in the command center and talk makes it a little easier to watch. Bill Hader does a good job. He's definitely the comic relief for as far as the movie is concerned. And then Goldar, I know, is the other thing where people are like, what? That's not Goldar. Goldar looks the way he is for a very good reason in the movie. And yes, it does look kind of ridiculous, but the way he functions, because of the way he looks, has a point and, makes it harder for the Power Rangers to fight him because of the way he's constructed. And you will see that when you watch the movie. So it's not Goldar, take the power sword, and he goes back off to the moon and lives to have Rita yell at him another day. The Zords, again, kind of like Alpha 5, you see him in the images and you're like, what? They look much better in movement, both as their individual Zords and as the Megazord. We get to see the individual Zords do their thing a lot more than we did on the TV show, because, any of the fights on the TV show, unless it was a multi-part storyline, they fought for like, a minute and a half, and then defeated the monster and then moved on. They'd
come out, and then they'd become the big mech robot thing.
Yeah.
Which was fine.
Yeah. Well, when you only got 20 minutes to tell an entire story, your fight scenes only last so long. So, we got a bit more than 20 minutes here, so we get to see a bit more of the Zords in action and their individual abilities, which is good. There are some really good nods to the TV show. Both for the OG series, The Mighty Morphin, and actually, if you watched the Power Rangers Zeo, there's references to that as well. There's even a few nods to the 1995 movie. which I thought was pretty awesome. So considering, how much it's panned by a lot of people. And there's
it's kind of nice. Well, it's nice to know that they're like, they're acknowledging their roots, I guess. Is what you'd say.
Yeah, there's definitely acknowledgments to where the show came from. Without being spoilery, there are some cameos that you got to keep an eye.
Well, I kind of figured there would be.
You gotta keep, well, and I assume there would be as well. Unfortunately, I was spoiled on who they were specifically before I saw the movie. So I knew which faces to look for as I was watching the movie. But they will be recognizable. It's not like they plucked a couple of actors from like Power Rangers Time Dino Force, way down. It's earlier crews, so the faces are recognizable, which is good. There is a mid-credit scene. There's no post-credit scene, but there is a mid-credit scene. And even the credit music makes a nod to the original source as well. So specifically to
that's awesome.
Yeah, specifically to the first movie. So if you're familiar with the credit sequence from the 1995 movie, there is a updated version of one of the songs. If
it's one I think it is, I'm so excited. If it's the one I think it is.
Oh. If it's what I think you're thinking of then no. Okay. Don't get that excited. Not that excited, but still.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's still exciting.
Laughing about how you're saying, like, we did.
I know how your guys' brain works.
It just makes me happy where you're like, we have. It's just. I'm excited that you're saying, like, they have nodded to this and they have nodded to that, because I'm like, when they first announced that Lionsgate was doing this movie, and there was gonna be based on the original Mighty Morphin series and all this stuff, I was so afraid that they were just gonna be like, nope, ignore everything that came before. Our thing is our thing, and we're not even gonna acknowledge that anything else came before it.
Nope.
And I was a little worried about that, but now knowing that, like, okay, they are, having these little nods and things to the first stuff, or to the original stuff and everything, and even, like, treating it with respect and love and that kind of thing. It's like, it makes my heart happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing.
Talking
it's
about
like,
Power Rangers.
Yeah.
We're not going for anything terribly in depth.
Yeah. Yeah. For what it is, I think they did a really good job of respecting our childhood, essentially, while still giving it a fresh take and a fresh update, for a modern era, which is good. I mean, it's still cheesy in some spots. There's still some spots where it's serious and it's not like, oh, we're trying to be serious and it comes off as fake serious. There's some spots of it where it is serious, but then there are some spots where it is quite cheesy. It is definitely rated PG-13 for a reason. But it's mostly just jokes, and most of the jokes, if you did take a kid who was young, a little younger, 9 or 10, the jokes are going to go over their head. So, don't be too concerned about, if you've got like a 9 or 10-year-old. You should still be fine as long as they don't have an issue with violence. But again, the violence, it's mostly, fighting like the putties and using the Zords.
It's slapstick.
Yeah, it's mechanical violence.
Well, not even
is what it
stick, but
yeah. So
I wouldn't take a 4-year-old to this movie, but no. I don't know that I'd take I don't know that I would take a 4-year-old to the original movie, to the first movie either. Yeah. I don't know, maybe.
Well, if they were a big enough fan, maybe. It is slow in some bits, so a really young kid might get bored.
I was 5 when I saw the original one.
Yeah. So.
Okay, well, so was my brother when we went and saw it. but that's okay.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, if you're a fan of the Power Rangers from back in the day, you will enjoy this. Your childhood's not going to get ruined by anything. They, like I said, they were very respectful, but at the same time, they did their thing while still, giving those nods and winks to the original source material. So, and they've definitely set it up for a sequel.
Which haven't they said they're doing like 5 more, or they have 5 more planned?
Something like that. It's
something like that. It was a big number.
Yeah, it's something ridiculous where they're ready to go for the long haul with this, and I think they could. Whether it would still be good, 4, 5, 6 movies in is yet to be seen if they can sustain it. Some franchises are better left at 1 or 2, maybe 3. But hey, if you can do 8 Fast and the Furious movies about stealing cars, then why not?
Yep. And I had this thought just kind of as you were talking about the movie and how they respected the source material, and I'm thinking, I don't know, it's just kind of odd to me. And I want to say this right. I don't want to make this to be taken the wrong way. It's Power Rangers. I mean, it is. You look back at the show and how, I mean, they recycled old footage, footage from shows from Japan. It was so cheaply made, and you kind of think, like, why, like, on the surface you think, why would you treat this with quote unquote respect? Why would something this warrant respect and love and care? But it's not show itself, how it was originally made or anything like that. I guess we could kind of compare it to Doctor Who now that I'm kind of thinking about it, because that show back in the 60s and the early days was not, I mean, it wasn't supposed to be anything real, awesomely wonderful, whatever. It's just, but the people who watched it and loved it kind of made it that way. And it's sort of the same thing here. It's like, it's something, when you're a kid and during this on the playground, you go out and run around and play Power Rangers with your friends, or, there was a group of kids who I really didn't know, but they were playing Power Rangers during recess. And I'm like, I want to play. And, you come up with a color and a dinosaur, and, you quote morphed in air quotes, and you pretended like you were fighting all the forces of evil and all these different things. And I remember doing that with just kids. I had no idea who they were. I just knew they were playing Power Rangers, and I'm like, hey, I want to play. And I don't remember it either. There, we were having fun, and I think it was. So it doesn't really matter that it's this show that was kind of a bit of a joke at the time for kind of more mainstream. Whatever, I don't know how to describe it exactly. But it's like, kind of compare it to, and I'm only comparing these two because they came out so close to one another, like the nostalgia, Beauty and the Beast versus the nostalgia for Power Rangers, and just how many people with Beauty and the Beast were, don't screw this up, I'm either going to love it or I'm going to hate it, and it was just everywhere because everybody saw that movie in the 90s, and they loved it, and it was their childhood, and, blah, 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 don't, live action, don't mess it up. With Power Rangers, it's different because not everybody had that connection to it, I think, but enough people did that it's still like, it's sort of a cult following, but not really. I'm kind of spitballing my thoughts here, so if it doesn't sound right, I apologize. But it's like, it's not as, I mean, it's from that same kind of time frame a little bit, but it's not as, oh, don't screw this up. If you screw it up, my whole childhood's going to be ruined. I don't get that I don't get that sense that that's what people want this movie. I think it's more like, they're intrigued that something from their childhood that wasn't necessarily respected at the time is being respected now. And it's kind of a cool thing to have happen.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's was a point in that rambling.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like, whatever the big thing you love is, it's just interesting to me that it's Power Rangers is the thing that came back and is a new movie.
It is only a matter of time.
Celebrate. Yeah. That is true.
For better or for worse, reboots and remakes and re-whatevers are always going to happen. So I think it was going to probably happen eventually, but all things considering, I think they didn't screw it up, which is good. So that's always a good thing when they don't screw stuff up. So, like I said, whether they can sustain it for as many movies as they'd like to do is yet to be seen. But first go out of the gate, I think they did a really good job, and I'm perfectly happy with it, and will likely buy it when it comes out on DVD. So we'll go right next to my copy of the 1995 movie, which I no longer own on VHS, unfortunately. But dagnabbit, I wish I did. So I'm pretty sure I wore that VHS out. I guess. So many times I could quote that movie inside and out and upside and down, and oh my goodness gracious! I tell you, I wanted to be a Power Ranger. You were saying, Chrissy, about going out and playing on the playground. It was so funny. That was my last little thing here. When I was a kid, my parents I didn't do things like karate lessons or gymnastics. We didn't do the sports when I was a kid, for a number of reasons that I won't get into. But I would watch an episode of the Power Rangers, and then when it ended, I would go out into our yard, and we had a decent-sized yard when I was a kid, and I would go outside and be thoroughly convinced that just because I watched it on TV, I could now do karate. And I was like, I'm just going to take off across the lawn, and I'm going to do all sorts of somersaults and backflips and, all sorts of things. And then when I go and I could barely do a cartwheel. But it didn't stop me from trying.
Sounds like you needed the Nintendo game.
Yeah, but it didn't stop me from trying. Like I said, I wanted to be a Power Ranger. I physically can't do it now, but dagnabbit, I can certainly try in my dreams.
That's. We were talking last week about bringing back some of those old 90s games. You should bring back Power Rangers. I had it on my Sega.
Well,
I don't think I ever played it. I understand.
I have it on my laptop.
I need it.
Well.
I know. I have connections. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Fair enough.
I'm kidding. It's fun. Anyway. Is there anything else anyone wants to say about Power Rangers? I'm sure Holly's just been enjoying all of our gushing and
oh yeah. I mean, I remember watching a few of the episodes when they first aired, but then at that time that was kind of when I was kind of rediscovering the Star Wars and Star Trek stuff, so I was more into that, and then caught a few episodes here and there. So, but it's been fun.
It's definitely a generational thing, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, because like we said, we kind of grew out of it as you got into middle and high school and things. I mean, my parents thought it was the weirdest thing in the world, but they bought us the toys and the video games, so it wasn't that big deal. But
yeah, I'd say the '95 movie it's like one of those movies that I go to whenever I'm in any kind of mood. Like, I can watch it when I'm happy, I can watch it when I'm upset about something, and watch it and make me just forget about things. Yeah. What I love about... Yeah, like, I was talking to a friend at work, and we were talking about the new movie, and I said that how much I love the 95 one. He says, "You really like that one? It was so cheesy." I'm like, yeah,
that's
maybe,
what
but
I like about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like all those horrible 90 sayings and puns. It's like, and I used to quote them all the time on the playground. Like, my favorite was always
although... Oh, no, go ahead. Finish your...
I was going to say my favorite was always have a nice trip, see you next fall. How that the saying was, but I was always...
There were some clever lines in there.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do have a funny story to tell about that movie now that I think about it. We went and saw it, and it was on a state holiday here in Utah. It was in July, and it was in theaters, and we'd been bugging my mom if we could go see it. And she was pregnant with my youngest sister, who, hi Shalene, you're probably listening. And so we went and saw the movie. It was on the 24th, which is a holiday. July 24th is a holiday in Utah. And then the next day, and we all love the movie. And then the next day, my mom wakes up and is like, "I think we need to go to the hospital. I'm having a baby." She was like a week early. And she joked for years, and I don't know if this is actually true or not, but she joked for years that the movie, with all its action and whatever, actually caused her to go into labor. So we always remember the day that we went and saw the first Power Rangers movie, because the day before our baby sister was born. And to my knowledge, I think Shalane really likes the movie just for that reason. Shalane, you can correct me later if you really want to. She may write us in feedback.
She probably will.
Which, if you would like to write in feedback, anyone at all, that you don't have to be mentioned here on the podcast, but if you want to write in feedback, tell us your Power Rangers story, or if you've seen the movie, what you thought of it, or anything related to anything we've ever talked about, because we love hearing from our listeners. You can email us. Our email address is fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also go to our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com, and you can find all the links to our social media everywhere's. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are kind of our big ones. And we are also on YouTube. Rachel mentioned that she put up some new YouTube videos on our channel, so you can check those out and leave comments there, on Facebook, wherever, and also review on iTunes. And we are also on Stitcher Radio and the Google Play Store, so hopefully you've been able to find us on one of those fine video or audio streaming, podcast streaming outlets. And then just another quick plug for our Patreon account. Again, we always are so appreciative of our Patreon supporters. You guys rock. Someday I would like to meet all of you and give you either a handshake or a hug, to quote Lou Mangello, because you guys are just wonderful. Wonderful bunch of people. And if you are not supporting us there and you would like to do so, you can go to our Patreon account is on our website. If you don't want to do Patreon, but you still want to support us, you can also go to our Amazon store, also on our link to on our website. And, you can buy anything from Amazon as long as you go through that link first. We get a little bit of a kickback. You get cool stuff from Amazon and don't pay anything extra. And we all win. So, pick that up.
And a quick bit of housekeeping before I forget.
Yes.
For our Goodreads book poll, we are getting very close to April 1st, and we have 2 books at 2 votes and 2 books at 1 vote. So please,
we need tiebreakers.
Please make sure.
Well, we asked for tiebreakers, and then we still have a tie.
Yeah. So,
oh dear.
I mean, if I have to flip a coin, I will.
Well, I mean, that helps you with the next 2 months at least.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
either that or Mario and Coco are gonna pick.
Yeah.
Yes, make Mario and Coco pick. That would be interesting.
Yes. Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah,
It would be
put
really
like your tablet.
It would be really interesting if they each pick different books.
Well, yeah.
You're like, you guys are supposed to be the tiebreakers. What is wrong with you?
Yes.
Well, you flip a
Do
coin.
I have to resort to hiding treats?
Yeah. Then you flip a coin to pick the dog who's going to pick. That's how you do
True.
it.
Yeah.
There we go.
I guess our listeners figured out Mario and Coco are your dogs.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway. Anyway, so check out the Goodreads page and read the book. I'm getting slowly caught back up with the group.
That's fine. And for those of you who are a little worried, I leave the discussions open for the books that have been previously read, so feel free to post your thoughts, to keep discussion going that way too. I'm open to that too.
Sweet.
Yep, keeps things happening.
I'm sure it does. Okay.
And quick reminder, I will be at HoosierCon this coming weekend. So March, how many days are March? 31? So 31st. Yep. 31st, 1st, and 2nd. For the most part, I'll just be wandering around, attending panels and that sort of thing. But I do have a podcasting 101 panel on Saturday, April 1st at 11 a.m. in the Brickyard Room. I have to follow up right after the live version of Con Job that Carl from Indie PopCon is going to be doing in that same room at 10 a.m. So you can get a nice little back-to-back if you go sit in the same room for 2 hours. But I have to follow up after Carl. That's not going to be no pressure at all. I kid Carl, I kid. So, if there's anyone that's listening is maybe thinking about wanting to start a podcast or get into podcasting, I've got myself and a couple other fellow podcasters. We're just going to be giving the low down and dirty 101, how to get started, very basic, easy entry into podcasting. So that should be fun. At the very least, come sit and make the room not look as empty so we don't feel as bad about ourselves. Yep. All right. So with that, I guess we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany the Pink Ranger saying goodnight.
This is Chrissy, the Blue Ranger, saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly the Green Ranger saying good evening from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel Lynn, aka Ivan Ooze in Indianapolis, Indiana. Oh, the things I have missed. The Black Plague, the Spanish Inquisition, the Brady Bunch reunion.
I'm sorry, I had to quote it with you. I couldn't.
Ooh, where's the autograph thing?
You have been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.